whatever you previously identified with, in terms of your human experience and the material realm, that is becoming just one of many, many things. It is just one of many, many things. Because your awareness is expanding to include many more elements of your own soul. Because you are a multidimensional being, which you already knew and you already experienced to an extent, but you are entering a phase now where it will be a much more grounded and integrated part of your daily experience. The process of integrating this might feel a little bit like a marathon, like a deep ocean swim, not knowing when you will reach landfall. Therefore, you will be challenged or required. The solution here is part of the adjustment that you are making is to learn to swim in a multi-frequency soundscape, to swim in a hyperliquid ocean, to swim through a greater multitude of sensory inputs than you have previously experienced. It's like you're swimming not only in one ocean, but in an infinite ocean of oceans all at the same time. This has always been what your consciousness has been doing, but you, in your human body, in your human experience, you have not necessarily been experiencing that at all times. It is like learning to float on your back on the waves. You must be loose and languid and surrendered in order to float on the waves. The more you thrash and flail, the more you clench your muscles. That is what will cause you to sink. Think about how one floats on the ocean, on any body of water. Think about the mechanics of floating. What kind of state you must be in order to float. That is how you can rest while floating your way through this marathon. If you try to struggle through the marathon swim, it will be an absolutely fatiguing effort. If you float through the marathon swim, that is how you achieve active rest. Active rest. pay attention to what you sometimes envy, because envy can be translated into admiration, right? Envy is a dysfunctional admiration. Envy is the dysfunction of admiration. And pay attention to what you envy. Do not discount that emotion, or that feeling. It is trying to tell you something. It is trying to tell you that that is what you admire. That is what you admire. If you envy it, that's okay. Work with that, because it is trying to draw you towards what you admire. Actually, try to kindle inside of yourself the frequency that you admire in others. That is the antidote for envy. That is how envy is moderated, and so that it becomes admiration. And that activates inside of you that which you used to envy. That is how you can actually discover inside of yourself the thing that you think is only outside of yourself. You only envy it because you think it is only outside of yourself. Cultivate that which you admire internally, and then envy becomes admiration, and admiration even eventually becomes normalcy, because it is simply what you have within yourself. Loosening the ties that bind. Something is loosening the ties that bind. This is a service to you. This is a service to you. Notice when you are being given what you have been asking for. Notice when you are being given what you have been asking for. Expectations versus reality may be clouding your understanding. Think about what this actually, like the energetics of expectations versus reality. The expectations of the energetics of expectations versus reality. What is going on there when you have a perfect vision, when you have such high hopes, when you have such high expectations of a perfect dream? You are remembering or perceiving what normally only exists in higher realms. You are tuning into the perfected version of something. You are tuning into the highest manifestation of something. You are tuning into someone's soul as it is outside of the earth realm, right? You are basing your expectations on essentially not what is here on earth. You are basing your expectations on what is possible in the higher realms, where you are from, the soul potential. And that is beautiful and pure. And yet it is not the reality of the earth landscape. It is not the reality of the earth landscape. And by leaving out, rejecting, or discounting the realities of what earth actually is, of how earth life actually functions, of all of the gritty reality of the holistic earth system. That is what you have been trying to tune into, the reality of Earth's system. The reality of Earth's system. And discovering how to close the gap between the expectation and the reality, between the soul reality or the emotional reality or the spiritual reality and the earth reality, the logical reality, the physical reality. Getting those two planes, those two systems, those two networks, those two realities, getting them to close the gap, getting them to mesh, getting them to more properly exchange energy, getting them to communicate, to bridge the gap, to bridge the gap. Archangel Raphael. To do this, you are weaving together within yourself most of your other timelines that are connected to the vessel that you are inhabiting in this lifetime. This is a bigger project than you might imagine. This is a bigger project than you might imagine. There's something here about a dog. Think about every choice you have made in this lifetime. Start with the big ones. What if you had made different friends? What if you had dated different people, gone to different schools, gone to different jobs, stayed in that relationship, stayed in that job, gone on that trip, taken that job? All of those major forks. Those are very, very different versions of you, but they are not just one timeline each. They are braids and clusters of timelines each, because then think of all of these smaller choices within those branches and the smaller choices within those branches. What if you ate cereal for breakfast instead of toast? And then even take it bigger. Think about, what if you'd been born on a different day? What if you were born early? What if you were born 2 days later? What if your soul had come into your body at a different moment? You could take this further. What about all versions of you inhabiting different vessels? For most of you at this time, you are focusing on the different versions of yourself that are inhabiting this same vessel in different iterations. Some of you may be working on an expanded project where you are integrating even more far-flung and more diverse versions of yourself. Because each version of your life has you have different skills and different lessons. You made different choices, and the choices are not just plot devices. The choices are not just plot devices. It's never just plot. If you broke up with a partner in order to relocate to a new city to take a new job, that wasn't just a change of location. That wasn't just a higher income. It was choosing career over love. If you gave up a career to stay with a partner, again, what is the choice there means? That means that you chose love over career. If you stayed home to care for your family instead of traveling, then you chose family and service and over freedom and exploration, and vice versa. Think about the meaning of all of your choices, what those were really choosing, what you were really choosing at the soul. And hear this, notice it is easy to judge your choices thinking that you should have chosen this or you should have chosen that, or that choice is better than that choice. But at this expanded level of your experience, that way of thinking ceases to make any sense, because in your multidimensional nature, you of course make different decisions. If you are faced with love versus career, you must walk both paths. You must explore both of those experiences. It is inevitable and right that you do so. So one choice is not better than the other. And that realization, when you fully realize that, it has the power to dissolve so much grief and regret and hardship. Because the version of you who made the other choice has also been haunted by some of the same feelings that you have been haunted by. If you chose love over career and you wondered what might have you accomplished if you had made a different choice, think about the other version of you who made the other choice, who chose career over love. They are haunted by what they may have missed out on. So, since at your expanded capacity, you are experiencing all of your different choice points, you have missed out on nothing, and you have explored it all. And normally this integration takes place after you leave your body and you explore all of the potentials of this lifetime that were lived out by yourself through other branches of your own tree. But you are integrating these lessons now because part of what you are doing is grounding the fact that you do not have to experience physical death in order to go through profound soul transformation. You can reap the benefits of having lived thousands of lifetimes without ever having died. Let there be closeness between you, but always give each other space. Love never claims, it simply allows and gives. It simply allows and gives.